Well, another day in Russia, another mysterious death of someone who spoke out against Putin's war. This time, it was the man you see over my shoulder, Ravel Maganov. He was the boss of one of Russia's major oil companies, Lukoil, and just recently, his company called for an end to the conflict in Ukraine, and then this happened. He's the seventh Russian oligarch or tycoon who's died since Putin invaded Ukraine. The circumstances surrounding all of these deaths are murky at best and reek of foul play at worst. It's Russia, so we'll never really know for sure what happened. But before you think this is just a problem with Russian borders, think again. Police in D.C. found a Putin foe dead in the street earlier this month. And as you may have guessed, he jumped to his death, or was he pushed? Here to help us answer some of these questions is Dmitri Alperovitch. He studied Putin for years. He's a former special advisor for the Department of Defense here in Washington, and he's the co-founder of CrowdStrike. Okay, Dmitri, I mean, this is part of Putin's playbook, right? You talk out against him, you wind up dead.
Well, not just dead, Mike, but a lot of these people seem to be falling out of windows, which is the official excuse here as well. So it seems that windows in Russia is literally the most dangerous place you can possibly be. But in all seriousness, this is a really ham-fisted way to intimidate the opposition, to make sure that everyone knows that anyone that even thinks about speaking out against the regime, against the war in Ukraine, is going to come to an untimely death.
Yeah, and so for a long time, the Russians were known to poison opponents. We think about Alexei Navalny or the Skripals or polonium-tipped umbrellas. Is this just a way to avoid being caught, or do you believe these people were pressured to taking their own lives, perhaps?
Well, given that they're not even being creative about the excuse of how someone died, that all of these people seem to be falling out of windows, clearly they're trying to send a message that they want people to know that this is likely foul play, even in cases where it may not be. There may be a few cases where it was legitimately an accident, but they're trying to make sure that everyone knows that bad things may be coming to you if you're an opponent of the regime. And this is one way to send a message without taking any direct credit.
Right. And doesn't it speak to the power and influence in Russian society of these oligarchs and tycoons that if they speak out, they're the ones who are eliminated?
This has, I think, been one of the biggest fallacies of our Western policies since the invasion of Ukraine. This thinking that if we go after the oligarchs, if we seize their funds, if we seize the yachts, somehow they'll put the pressure on Putin. This fundamentally misunderstands the dynamic of Russian society. Putin controls the oligarchs. They don't control him. They dance to his tune, and if they don't, they end up dead.
Wow. So is there anyone that can get through to Vladimir Putin with a call to end the war in Ukraine, or does anybody who makes that call end up dead?
No one in his entourage has any power to influence his decision-making. He is truly a czar of Russia at this point. Almost no one, perhaps since the days of Stalin, had this much power. Even in the days of the Soviet Union, you still had a Politburo that made decisions jointly. This is no longer the case in Russia. Putin is the one person that decides everything.
Well, I mean, that's an amazing fact and so enlightening about what we're seeing. So let's turn to the battlefield, where there's been something of a stalemate for the last few months. And now it appears that Ukraine is launching a counteroffensive in the south around the city of Kherson. American media outlets are painting this as a rise up by Zelensky's Ukrainian army. Listen to what retired Army Lieutenant Colonel told us, a retired Lieutenant Colonel in the Army told us earlier this week.
The Ukraine forces have suffered enormous casualties, and they have made very little, if any, progress. And I just don't see how they're going to even be able to hold on to what they have here in the coming days.
Okay, so that's a counterintuitive take.
Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.